Canelo Alvarez weighs in at 167 and 1/2 pounds. 167 and 1/2.
Same that everybody else been saying since I moved to 147. I ain't fought nobody. Every last one of them stump a mud hole in their ass and he gonna be next. Watch.
Canelo versus Crawford is boiling over like a pot with no lid. Forget those calm staged face-offs. Every press conference feels like the opening bell of round one. The tension is so heavy you could cut it with a jab. And believe me, the verbal blows are landing just as sharp as the real ones will on fight night. Remember that wild New York press event when Crawford tried to push Canelo? That was the moment any ounce of respect Canelo had for Bud got thrown straight out the window.
What I don't respect about Crawford, his work. He say, I'm not gonna do anything I don't want it, or somebody tell me I need to do, and he do it in that. He tried to back me up, not pushing me, but back me up, and that's why I push.
Now Canelo's flipping the script, saying that shove wasn't even Bud's move. According to him, Turki Al-Sheikh planted the idea like, yo, go push him. Canelo laughed it off like, what is this, WWE auditions or a world title presser? But when he followed up with, if you cross me, it's different. You could see in his eyes that wasn't just talk. He meant every single word.
You push them back. Is animosity building, or it's just part of the moment?
You know me. No, I'm not fake. I don't like to do that kind of stuff. I always respect my opponents, but they with me, so it's different, you know. What I think is Turki Al-Sheikh told him, hey, you need to do something. You see so nervous in Riyadh in the press conference.
Here's where it gets wild. Crawford didn't even blink when Canelo snapped, just cracked a grin like, that's cute, champ. Bud brushed that shove off like it was nothing more than a mosquito buzzing around. Now he's doubling down, saying he doesn't even need a knockout to beat Canelo. That's ice cold, basically telling the world, I'll school you for 12 rounds while you're busy punching shadows.
After the press conference with the push, what was your reaction to that?
I just laughed at it, as you can see. You know, I love things like that. You know, it excites me. I'm more motivated than ever now.
Canelo's fan base out here sweating like their Wi-Fi cut off in the middle of a Netflix cliffhanger. And Bud? He didn't say if, he said when I win. That's not just confidence, that's borderline disrespect, like showing up to a job interview already rocking the company hoodie. From that moment, the press conference flipped. No more polite talk, just pure ego warfare. Canelo stared Bud down like, you're good, but me, I'm great.
Good fighter or great fighter? Let me know.
I'm great fighter.
So you got your ass whooped by a good fighter, right?
You're a good fighter.
I'm saying.
But I'm great.
Okay.
And when Bud doubled down, it wasn't just confidence. It was like he was saying, I've walked this road before, and champ, those shoes don't fit you. Then he dropped the scripture-style line, every time you step up, you take an L. A not-so-subtle reminder of the Bivol fight, when Canelo looked less like the king of the ring and more like a redhead stuck on a math problem with no answer.
So that means you're a good fighter and Bivol is a great fighter, right?
And question.
Well, every time you stepped up, you lost. Great fighter.
I'm not.
Man, that wasn't just trash talk, that was straight career talk. You could feel the vibe change instantly. This wasn't about hyping a pay-per-view, this was about pride. Now it's bigger than titles or belts. For Canelo, it's about burying that Bivol shadow once and for all. For Crawford, it's about stamping himself as the great fighter of this era, no excuses.
Like I always said, I'm a big fan of Canelo, he's a great fighter, but I think I'm better.
And just when it felt like the press conference fire couldn't burn any hotter, Eddie Hearn slid in with that promoter logic. He kept it real, saying, Canelo doesn't even gain much from this. If he wins, people will just shrug and say Crawford was the smaller man. And honestly, he's got a point. Boxing fans can be pickier than food critics at a 5-star spot. Never. Fully satisfied no matter the outcome.
I don't think it's a fight Canelo really wants, if I'm honest, because I think he feels like he won't get a lot of credit beating a light middleweight. and Crawford's going to move a lot in that fight, which is not ideal for Canelo.
You beat a legend, folks call him washed. You beat a smaller fighter, they'll say size was the excuse. In boxing, it's never enough. But Eddie sees the bigger picture. If Dimitri Bivol keeps dominating at 175, that's the real mountain Canelo's got to climb again. And let's not forget, Bivol already schooled him once. Eddie's out here moving pieces like it's chess, while the rest of us are just shouting checkers.
I mean, like, you know, if Bivol wins, he could fight him for undisputed. That's a very tough fight. What's the other options? You know, Benavidez is up at 175. Obviously, His Excellency wants to make that fight, so guess we could see.
While Eddie Hearn is busy playing fantasy boxing GM, Stephen Fulton steps in sounding like the voice of the fighters. He's backing Crawford, not for the payday chatter, but because Bud's built with that fearless DNA. He's the type to chase challenges most would duck, stepping into uphill battles just to prove a point. Fulton's message is simple: respect to anyone bold enough to test themselves against giants, because I've done it too. And he's not wrong. If Crawford pulls this off, his resume doesn't just level up, it goes legendary. That's the type of story you pass down to your grandkids.
Always went with Crawford this fight. It's nothing against Canelo, because Canelo's a hell of a fighter. I don't know how he is as a person. Neither the guy, I don't know how neither of them are as a person, but I like Crawford for challenging himself. Like, that's the type of things I do and I've done. So I like anybody that's willing to challenge them.
What I really like here is Fulton keeping it straight. His advice? Use your boxing brain, stay disciplined, and don't let Canelo bait you into a firefight. That's real wisdom. Because if Crawford tries to trade power shots, he's stepping straight into the lion's cage. But if he stays slick, plays it smart, suddenly the so-called smaller man becomes the puzzle nobody can crack. And the best part? Fulton's not selling hype. It's a fighter speaking on another fighter's mentality, and that always hits different.
Whether it's money or not, you still have the heart to go in there and challenge the bigger guy. So, but I think it's gonna be, I think if Crawford uses his boxing ability, then it'll be a better fight for him.
So Fulton gave Crawford his props for stepping up. And then George came in like that one friend who flips the whole barbershop debate on its head. You can hear the conflict. One moment he's rocking with Bud, the next he's siding with Canelo, almost like he's switching jerseys just to keep the fire going. And honestly, we've all been there. You watch a couple of highlight reels at 2 a.m. and suddenly your pick changes. But George breaks it down clean. If Canelo dials up the pressure, it's curtains. If Crawford keeps it slick and makes him swing at shadows, then the judges might just be reading Bud's name on those scorecards.
Canelo is the pressure fighter. He's got to put the pressure on Crawford. He has to be able to land his big shots. He's seasoned at fighting at super middleweight. He's fought as high as light heavyweight, as we know. So he is accustomed to the bigger punches, the bigger shots. I don't think Crawford can really land anything that's going to trouble a guy like Canelo.
And let's be real. Everyone sees the size gap sitting in the corner like the elephant nobody wants to admit is there. Crawford's slick, no doubt, but Canelo looks like he was carved straight out of iron plates. George breaks it down to two paths. Either Bud dances around and boxes like a ghost, or he ends up getting worked like another. Heavy bag in Canelo's gym. And when George leans toward a stoppage, that's him sliding all his chips onto Canelo's side of the table. Fair call, but here's the kicker. If Bud actually shocks the world, half of boxing Twitter gonna be wiping their timelines clean like those tweets never existed.
Two ways this fight, can go. Crawford's way of winning the fight, I truly believe, is he needs to outbox Canelo Alvarez. He needs to, maneuver him and make Canelo second guess himself every single time.
So after George laid out his chessboard take, here comes Duke. Mackenzie jumping in like he doesn't even need warm-up rounds. No hesitation. Straight up saying Crawford's gonna put a clinic on Canelo. And honestly, I see why. Duke basically roasted Canelo's recent form, saying he's been moving around like a guy stuck in traffic, stiff, predictable, and way too easy to read. Then he threw in the Crawford factor, that switch-hitting style that feels like an endless combo platter of uppercuts. You can already picture Canelo's defense getting cracked wide open. What I love is Duke's honesty, no filters, no hype. He's saying this is Crawford's moment for that career-defining masterclass. If Bud shows up with the same venom he's been spitting in pressers, Canelo might end up eating more clean shots than a college kid on $2 tequila night.
Crawford talks with a lot of spite, and he means it. And I think he's going to do a number on Canelo. I really do. And I wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't be surprised if there's a late stoppage. I wouldn't. I don't think he knocks Canelo down, but Canelo could just be taking so many shots. Referee jumps in and stops the fight.
So Duke McKenzie didn't just stop at praising Crawford's skill set. He doubled down. He basically threw shade, saying Canelo might be more focused on stacking checks than stacking legacy at this point. And coming from a vet like Duke, that's a heavy statement. Because let's be real, some fans have been whispering the same thing. Canelo's last few outings, not the same snap, not the same ferocity, more flat-footed, combos looking a little copy-paste, not that wrecking ball version we saw in his prime. Bottom line, Duke just dropped the kind of take that flips the whole conversation. His vibe? Crawford's not just here to compete, he's here to torch Canelo and make it look like the torch officially got passed.
That's not going to beat Crawford, and Crawford ain't about to lay down or swallow or give up. Nowhere in that fight. Crawford will go, if he gets beat, which I sincerely doubt, he's going out on his shield. He's going down fighting. That's his man.
And then sliding into the convo comes Dan Raphael. And when Dan speaks, it's like the boxing archives. Start talking. But here's the kicker. He's not just spitting stats, he's hyping this showdown like it's the Super Bowl of the sweet science. His angle? Forget what you saw in their last outings, forget the so-called flat nights. When legacy is on the line, everything changes. He's convinced once that first bell rings, both Canelo and Crawford flip the switch, and we're not getting anything close to mid. We're getting the real versions, their sharpest, hungriest selves.
The event is probably the biggest event of the year in boxing. They're both great fighters. They're both Hall of Famers in waiting. As a boxing fan, I'm thrilled because it's a very fascinating matchup with two all-time greats. With the obviously caveat that you got Terence Crawford moving up two weight classes to see what he can do against the undisputed champ.
Dan lays it out like this. Canelo knows he's staring down the pound-for-pound nightmare, the guy nobody's been able to figure out. And Crawford, he's walking in like it's the ultimate boss fight. No second chances, no shortcuts, just pure grit and skill. And honestly, that's what makes this so electric. This isn't a half-asleep Canelo cruising, and it's not a cautious Crawford playing it safe either. This is two warriors stepping in knowing that when the final bell rings, their spot in boxing history gets written in permanent ink.
Looked good in their last fight, but I suspect they're going to be a lot more into this fight. You know who you got in front of you in September, and Crawford's saying, I'm fighting the great Canelo Alvarez. Canelo's like, I'm fighting the 4-division champ, pound-for-pound type guy, and Crawford that's never lost. I better be really prepared. So I'm hopeful that aspect that they're really tuned in will make it a bigger and better fight.
All right, here's the closer. Canelo versus Crawford isn't just another matchup, it's a clash of legacies. That shove in New York sparked the fire. Bevel's shadow still follows Canelo, and the experts are split down the middle. You've got Eddie Hearn playing the long game, Fulton giving Crawford his flowers, Duke McKenzie shouting Bud's ready to shock the world, and Dan Raphael framing it like a fight that stamps history. At the end of the day, it's pride, styles, weight, and legacy all crashing together. Will it be a technical masterclass or a pressure-heavy clinic? Either way, somebody's career is getting redefined. If you enjoyed the breakdown, show love, hit like, share it around, and subscribe. Drop your predictions in the comments. Who wins and in which round? I'll be in there mixing it up with you, so come with facts. Don't forget to hit that bell for notifications and follow us across socials. Catch you in the next one. Same place, bigger debates.